Smooth music. You're listening to Smooth Music. December the 26th, 2024. Come on in and relax. We're glad to have you here. Get yourself a nice adult beverage. Get comfy. The show is about to start. Are you relaxed? I know I am.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If Conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network, where I am broadcasting in an actual free state. I, by the way, am your conservative Sherpa, guiding you through the maelstrom of Demorats Leftist and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. So remember, what you're about to watch and hear on this show consists of my opinion and my opinion only, and or those of my guests. But tonight, lo siento, I am not having no guests, just you, as long as you're watching right here. Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight, by the way, is Thursday. It is December the 26th, the very next day after Christmas, year of our Lord 2024. And I am doing the job the American media maggots won't. I am fundamentally changing America, one leftist diaper at a time. A lot of things are still the same. We don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, and common sense for actual normal people like you and me. So, politics, religion, crime, culture, race, sex, science, economics, law. We talk about it all right here in the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. Sorry. So we're streaming. Let's see, my God, where are we streaming? We're streaming live at shrmedia.com. We're streaming live at the SHR Media YouTube channel. We're streaming live on Twitch. We're streaming live on X at 2 Against Tyranny. We're streaming live on KLRN at KLRN Radio. We're streaming live on my X channel, if you want to go there, just to drop in and say, hello. Or the penguin on the telly's exploded. Or hello at BZ's Saloon. At BZ's Saloon on X. Let's see, where else am I? I'm on Twitch. I mentioned YouTube. And if Facebook is working tonight, I'm on Facebook as well. So thank you, one and all, to everybody being here tonight. Especially, I got an astounding array of people who actually watched my 15-minute Christmas Eve show. And I had 2 stories that I wanted to read. I would highly recommend going back. I won't go back into those stories, but I just read 2 stories. The one was entitled At Christmas, and that might be a little bit of a maybe a tearjerker, I'm not sure. And then I read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and I hope I didn't bung that up too badly. I don't think I did. But I was shocked at the number of people who watched a show, one of my shows, on Christmas Eve. So to those folks, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And to the people that are watching right now, I greatly appreciate it. It looks like there are some comments. JEFF Jeff Lost Warrior said, not warrior. Well, maybe he is a warrior and a wanderer. Jeff wanders. I don't think he wanders as much as I do. Maybe he wonders and then wanders and becomes a wanderer. Unsure. Jeff, welcome. And Reaver of Common Sense, good to see you. Joe Stewart, good evening from Ortonville. I had to look because the print is really small on that. Good evening from Ortonville, Michigan. Cheers. Cheers, mate. The Phantom knows everything. Dale, howdy. And don't forget to jiggle the handle. You know, Dale, damn it. Ever since we left Sacramento from the old SHR studio, the toilets there were not so good. And people, when they went to go pee, they did have to jingle the handle back then. Since moving into a new home, a new studio in an actual free state, the toilet is fairly decent. I'm pleased to say. Gladness upon me and thee. In any event, thanks to everybody who is watching right now. Some programming notes. I am not sure. Dale just in chat said Clyde rules. Well, he's right. Clyde does rule. The sad thing about Clyde. Now, for those of you who don't know, Clyde is the Berserk Bobcat from the Berserk Bobcat Saloon. And Clyde looks here. Let me get rid of this here first so you can see all of Clyde. Clyde is a bobcat. And my God, he sent me an actual full live stuffed bobcat, which sadly does not fit in the studio right now because this studio is about, I don't know, maybe a fifth the size of the SHR Media studio. But once I can find it, I have another bobcat. And I should tell you, Dale, that bobcat, Clyde, is in the living room right now, and he's guarding the house. So he is way up on a high perch, about 11 feet off the floor, and he's doing such a great job that my 2 new rescue dogs, who we brought back in late June, early July, he still scares them. And if they pay attention, if they remember to pay attention, and they look up in the living room, they'll start to growl. They are growling at Clyde because Clyde is the Berserk Bobcat. And this is how Clyde tends to handle things. So in other words, thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Vipa. Good afternoon from Australia. Appreciate the streams. Vipa. Thank you for being here tonight. Holy moly, lots of people tuning in. Grandly appreciate it. Now tonight, I have an unusual show, and I also put this up. Let me see if I have it. I put this up because in a little bit, I'm going to be playing a video. And it's the one of the New York subway. And you can watch or you can not watch. But I'm not going to censor it because I believe people need to see what it is and what's happening in New York in the subway. For those of you who have never seen it, you may have seen photos, but the photos that you've seen, my guess would be they're kind of smeared out, pixelized out. You don't know the half of it. I've always said, in order to understand what's happening and what has happened to our nation, you need to see it. And if there were videos of the 9/11 jumpers hitting the ground in New York, I would play those. And the reason I would play those is because people need to understand what happens in reality. Oh my God, how callous and cruel of you to say that you would play something like that. But I am not here to protect you. I am not here to protect me. I'm here to do a show and to display for you reality. Now, if that reality is a little bit too much for you, it's like I say at the beginning of the show. If you don't care for the things that I represent, then tune out now. I'm not losing any money because this is not monetized. It will never be monetized. My show, at least. There's not a paywall. It's all free. I'm not stopping you from coming here, but I'm not holding you here either. Just letting you know, because I'm sure if I hadn't done that, put up this, for example, there might be some persons who, after that, said, "You're sick, you're demented." No, I'm not sick and demented. New York City is sick and demented. Biden is sick and demented. The Demorats are sick and demented. Leftists are sick and demented. If they'd left the border alone, there's every chance that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of American citizens wouldn't have been murdered, raped, slaughtered, knifed, shot, and now burned alive. All of this is primarily preventable. And so I'm showing it to you tonight. I have a lot of stories to tell. One of the primary stories to tell tonight, and I am going to do the Chicago death toll, and we are going to have some happy stories, and we are going to have some stories that are kind of slap you upside of the head. But I also want to let you know that we were, for the past 4 years, witness to the, in my opinion, the largest political scandal in the history of the United States of America. Teapot Dome? Nah. Watergate? Nah. Everything against Trump? That's not that far away. But we'll get to that. Essentially, what I'm going to be doing is reading from the Wall Street Journal. And the article that I will be reading from, I just about 99.1% guarantee that you have not read this article, that you have not understood all of the things in between. And I'm also going to tell you, this is the plan. I have the plan of what's going to happen next for Trump in January, because when leftists like Muslims tell you something, when Muslims say, "We want to kill you," believe them. When leftists say that we want to fill in the blank to conservatives or Republicans, believe them. They're speaking in plain language. Sometimes it's couched or or wrapped in such a way. And as I say frequently, I speak leftist, so I will translate for you. That's part of my job. But there is a plan coming up to apply against Donald Trump. They have no, Demorats and leftists, they have no interest in bipartisanship and compromise. They simply have an interest on trying to continue to place their spiked jackboot on your neck and leave little impressions. Bill Gates, the WHO, the WEF, globalists, they all want you held in thrall. Period. End of statement. As in forever. Well, I've done this before and will do it again. Producer, take it away.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every aldercrap in the 50 wards.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, go to HeyJackass.com, HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values. Chicago, the city of big shoulders, and let's look in on Chicago these days from HeyJackass.com. December to date, shot and killed 36, shot and wounded 100, total shot 136, total homicides 38. Week in progress, December the 22nd to December the 28th, shot and killed 5, shot and wounded 23, total shot 28, total homicides 5. And year to date, the big numbers, shot and killed 536, shot and wounded 2,414, total shot 2,950, total homicides 606. So what that means is a person is shot every 2 minutes and 56 seconds, and a person in Chicago, the city of big shoulders, courtesy of HeyJackass.com, a person is murdered every 14 minutes and 15 seconds.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every aldercrap in the 50 wards.
And so because we talked about Chicago, it's not really my kind of town. Detroit police shut down a gas station after a clerk shot at a guy who robbed the store. Now, Demorats and leftists, this should be no inherent shock to anybody, are now defending the criminal who stole goods, and they're calling to shut down the gas station for good itself.
Shut it down. When we want now. Today, now. Thank you. Make a hole.
An employee of this business over an incident that appears to be shoplifting, came from behind the glass outside and began discharging a firearm at an individual whom they suspected of shoplifting. Those actions, putting this community in danger, is not okay. It is not acceptable.
It's despicable. It's inhumane what has happened here. And this is one of the second incidents that has occurred at this location. And I'm hoping that this gas station will be closed permanently with a capital P. Because to chase someone down and shoot at them because allegedly they stole something, I understand it was a bag of chips. Whatever it was. His life was worth more than $1. It couldn't have cost more than $1.
And it could have replaced that. Come on, you have to value life more than that.
Okay, let me stop and weigh in right now. Whoever this was, whatever actions those were, will be handled as per normal in a court of law. The reason for me playing it tonight is because now there's become a threshold of individuals who are tired of all this crap. And the point of this is to illustrate the only people, the only personnel who brought all of this on was the individuals, mostly Demorats and leftists, who want no consequences for anything. Zero. End of statement. No consequences. And you're seeing pushback. This should not be surprising that pushback is being seen. People do not handle themselves this way in a civilized society, nor is a civilized society something where there are no consequences for anything that you do. And people are getting fed up. Now, justified or not, that's not for me to say at this point. That goes to the courts, and it will go to the courts in Detroit. Here's another message that I think you need to hear. This message is to white leftists from this individual. Let me see if I have this. Okay, here we go. Listen.
All of the Black queens who voted for Kamala Harris. I know you are disappointed, my beautiful Nubian princess, but this is our time to go back to Africa. I'm asking every white liberal that is a Kamala Harris voter to contribute to a fund so that we can all go back to Africa. We do not belong in Donald Trump's America.
These are people that are nuts. And again, I show this to illustrate that these are people who are nuts. Now let's talk about an abrogation of cash. Now, every year, it's funny, every year Rand Paul comes out with this. His Rand Paul senator from Kentucky, his Festivus report. And would it shock you to know that I have his Festivus report right after this? And you can see here are some of the things, the ridiculous things that your American tax dollars are wasted upon. Like I've said in other shows. Now, why did it take Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, to recognize and say to everybody, Republicans, I don't care who you are. I don't care about your paint job. We want you in the tent. What have you got to lose? And the answer was apparently more people had a lot to lose, because not only did Donald John Trump crush the Electoral College, which we have to get rid of, says Demorats and leftists, and he crushed the popular vote as well by a minimum of 5 million votes. But again, why did it take Donald John Trump to say, come on, come all, into the party? Come on, we want to talk to you. We want to at least discuss things with you. We're willing to have those convos, and nobody else apparently is willing to have those conversations. And why did it take the Trump administration, DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Elon Musk, why did this concept just now come into play where people are thinking the American taxpayer has been ass-reamed like Karl Marx driving a Russian excavator right up your bunghole for years? Rand Paul has told everybody about the incredible wastage going on in D.C. And now it's Donald Trump that actually plans to do something about this. Why? Why? And do you know, of course, that there are Demorats and leftists who hate this? They hate this concept. Well, what are some of the I'm not going to go through it all. This list is huge. You can go on to just in your favorite search engine, you can put Rand Paul, Festivus report, and you'll get this. This is in a PDF file. These are some of the things, and I'm sure you probably saw a few things on the graphic that I just had up. Here are a few extra lovely little tidbits that your tax dollars were pissed away for. Ghost towns on the government's dime. The federal government spent $10 billion on maintaining, leasing, and furnishing almost entirely empty buildings. Why? Because only 6% of the federal government workers are at work in an office. A pandemic plunder. A Florida man stole $8 million in COVID-19 relief funds to buy an island, and more. Was anyone up to this point, save perhaps Rand Paul, interested in any of this? Well, there's going to be an interest now. Your tax dollars at play. The Department of the Interior spent $12 million on a Las Vegas pickleball complex. Taxpayers fund a disinformation index. The Department of State wasted $330,000 to fund censorship of non-liberal and conservative media. Department of State. What's their standing? The answer is nothing. Snack attack. The Department of Health and Human Services awarded a $2 million grant to study kids looking at Facebook ads about food. Taxpayer dollars down the drain. In Nevis, the Department of State, again, spent $108,000 on a non-functioning hotel in Nevis. What the hell? Direct file fail. Congress spent $15 million to turn the IRS into an unconstitutional force to prepare, file, and audit your hard-earned money. Go to the IRS building and see if you like what is engraved on the tower directly in front of the IRS building. By the way, it's insulting as hell. Go look for it. Go find it. HHS spends nearly $500,000 on a depressing study of lonely, starved rats. The Department of Health and Human Services spent $470,000 to determine if lonely rats seek cocaine more than happy rats. Hold on to your steering wheel. The Department of Energy spent $15.5 billion, not hundreds of thousands, not million, $15.5 billion of your American taxpayer dollars to push Americans towards electric vehicles they don't want. Hold that thought. I've got a great story about that just came out today about EVs. The Department of State also squandered $4,840,000 on influencers. I don't think it's for conservative influencers, do you? The National Endowment for the Arts, the NEA, spent $365,000 to promote circuses in city parks. Wait. Circuses have animals. Animals are what PETA hates to see exposed or sacrificed. So they're spending this money, and leftists are saying, that's bad, that's wrong. But what the hell? It's not their money. They can spend it. The Department of State also spent $3 million for girl-centered climate action in Brazil. Great. Perfect. The Department of State, I'm starting to see a trend here, paid the Royal Film Commission $873,000 for movies in Jordan. Your money. The Department of State, again, continuing the trend, spent $345,000 on football engagement to counter terrorism, because I'm sure that works. The one thing I've found is that Muslims are wonderfully distracted by football, which, by the way, I don't mean the funny little ball in the United States. That's soccer. The United States Department of Treasury granted a failed trucking company a $700 million pandemic-era loan. Will you see that money coming back to you? No. The United States will just tax you harder and deeper and faster. The National Science Foundation spent $288,000 to ensure bird-watching groups have safe spaces, also known as affinity groups. Americans are paying $892 billion in fiscal year 2024 on the interest on Uncle Sam's credit card. Peep out of anybody? Nah. Motor on, nothing to see here. This is not the debt you're looking for. The Department of State spent $500,000 to expand the U.S. Embassy in Ethiopia's U.S. invests in Ethiopians' social media campaign. not the actual building, a media campaign to a larger national public relations campaign. Not one spade full of dirt was turned. It was all for social media. The federal government spent $7,026,689, $7 million even, roughly, on various magical projects. As in, not these projects are going to be wonderful, but no, I mean actual magic projects, like people performing magic. The Department of State, again, spent $500,000 to expand the Ethiopia campaign charge. I told you about that. The Department of State, again, theme, spent $2.1 million for Paraguayan border security. Well, wait, don't we have a border? And is our border secure? Is anybody actually interested in making our border secure at all?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night Conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? Coming in November to SHR Media. By way of Big E Jackson, you need to check out Mission Ready Men. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man, as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson, coming this November on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers. to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Thanks for being here. I greatly appreciate it. If you would, on, say, the SHR Media YouTube channel and also on Rumble, if you would please subscribe. This will never change. I run on heavy fuel. And the kind of heavy fuel upon which I run is that which is sated only by vodka, potato water, specifically Kettle One. So if you subscribe, there's a greater chance that the Kettle One ferries will come down and late at night, hopefully before the end of the year, maybe New Year's Eve, and go, bing, here's a new 1.75 liter. Go for it, dude. So thanks for being here. I am appreciating it greatly. So, I was of two minds about playing it, but I thought, screw it, I'm going to play it. My guess would be the bulk of you have not seen this video. This is the one where the illegal invader from, I believe, Guatemala lit a Subway patron on fire in New York City, turned around and went and sat down on a bench and watched his work. He had been kicked out of the nation before, but was let back in. That should come as no shock. Now, whether he's nuts or whether he just enjoyed doing this, who knows? Do we have a massive database of illegal invaders from Guatemala? And the answer is no, we don't. We have no damn idea who is entering and coming into this country. Whether they're here for nefarious means, whether they're here to join a cell that we'll be paying for later or soon in terms of terrorism, or whether they're just here to be a parasite and drain us, you, me, us American taxpayers, who magically, mystically, we're paying for everyone and everything on this entire planet, and we're expected to. You need to see Demorats Leftists, Biden, KJP, Psaki, et al., Mayorkas. I am not going to say what I really think about that. I would go into a 30-second, if not longer, profanity-laced tirade about that individual. The only thing I can hope is that the blood, the pools, the crispy flesh all fall into the faces and at the feet of all the Demorats who said, yeah, you know what? Let's screw with the border. Let's change everything that Trump did and let everyone in. Hashtag because votes. And that got their asses kicked out. And this is what you need to see. This is the direct result of illegal invaders coming into your country who couldn't give a shit about you, about your security, about your privacy, about your tax dollars, about your largesse. Oh, and this comes with noise too. So remember what I said? Did you see this video? Here it comes. Burning American woman standing up in a subway car. And you can see all the people thronging to assist her. Oh, wait, was that an NYPD officer talking on a portable? Yes, it was. It was either an NYPD officer or a Metro officer. Ash is falling from this burning American woman. Still standing. And of course, a person who has to film it because why not? One person semi-helps. Note the patch? That's an officer watching. Continue. Well, apparently he had something else to do that day that was clearly more important than that. That's America, December 2024. But this isn't new. You have to understand that this isn't new. Go listen to the Phil Oakes song, Outside of a Small Circle of Friends. What happened behind that song in the 60s, in the early hours of March 13th specifically, of 1964, a woman named Kitty Genovese. She was a 28-year-old bartender. She was raped and stabbed outside the apartment building where she lived in Kew Gardens in Queens, New York. 2 weeks after the murder, the New York Times published an article erroneously claiming that 38 witnesses saw or heard the attack, and none of them called the police or came to her aid. But that was in itself incorrect because this was witnessed. That became known as bystander effect, or the Genovese syndrome. And the murder became a staple of U.S. psychology textbooks for the next 4 decades. So, New York is depraved enough. Apparently, its officers confused enough to stand and watch a burning woman. So this is nothing new. So New York and all the rest of the leftist urban rat cages in America, they don't need any more help with illegal invaders and parasites. We have enough. We have enough of an issue and enough of a problem. I hope you didn't close your eyes. I hope you actually watched. That's America, courtesy of a loving, giving Guatemalan illegal invader, with little, if any, action from the New York Police Department. This is going to be a tough transition. It's going to be a hard transition, but here we go.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
Here's a happy story. This just came out today. EV owners, this is from slaynews.com. EV owners have a larger carbon footprint than regular car drivers, a study finds. Isn't that interesting? Now, we could find, and you can still maybe find, other pieces of evidence indicating that EVs are drains on the environment. They are pro-China, and they are, all the little brown people that are used to dredge up rare earth elements like lithium. Hey, leftists and Demorats say, that's no problem. You know what? The cool thing about it is, at least it's not happening in the United States, where those people actually mean something. A major new study has dealt a blow to virtue signaling eco warriors by confirming that electric vehicle owners have a higher carbon footprint than those who drive regular gas-powered cars. Now, isn't this, to rational thinking people like you and me, didn't we intuit this some time ago? Because we don't have little nuclear reactors in these cars. They're not hydrogen engines that create nothing but vapor I should say, water at the tailpipe. I believe those are coming. But no, you have to have EVs. And now EVs are so effective, so quiet. Have you been next to an EV that was backing up? And now it sounds like either a beep, beep, or a little motor. So the thing that made EVs attractive are now being made so that EVs are a little less attractive. You wanted them because they were quiet, maybe. Quiet no longer. Electric cars have become the ultimate status symbol for woke celebrities and those claiming to be saving the planet from climate change. However, scientists now say that buying an expensive EV is actually doing more harm to the environment than helping it. Researchers from the University of Turku, Finland. Oh, you know, those right-leaning Turks, Turku people, those right-leaning Finns. All those conservative assholes in Finland who are biased like crazy, found that on average, EV drivers have a larger carbon footprint than drivers who own gas or diesel cars. What? Their paper, published in the journal PLOS Climate, Nils Sandman, Elisa Sahari, and Aki Kaponen analyzed questionnaires sent to thousands of random adults in Finland regarding lifestyle choices, car use, environmental opinions, and how they felt about EVs. While their cars may produce lower emissions, the researchers say that EV owners' more ostentation lifestyles meant that they contributed more to global warming overall. Now stop. Do you see the inherent bias, naturally, of this article? No one went into particularly to deal with the mining of lithium, the fact that China wants to have a stranglehold on everything in terms of EVs, production, rare earth mining, and solar panels so that we can be held hostage. The United States can be held hostage. No, this study shows that the average EV owner churns out a half a ton more CO2 per year, with owners of high-performance electric vehicles producing almost 2 tons more pollution. And like I say, we inherently intuit a lot of these things. And I'm sure that you have as well. Here's another article, another happy story. State Department's Global Engagement Center, accused of censoring Americans, shuts its doors. They shut the doors of the State Department's Foreign Disinformation Center, accused by us heinous conservatives of censoring U.S. citizens because they did. Shut its doors due to lack of funding this week. Oh, wait. It's that evil President Elon Musk had deemed the Global Engagement Center, the GEC, established in 2016, the worst offender in U.S. government censorship and media manipulation. This guy should know because he bought Twitter and he had access to all the algorithms. And how and why Twitter, now X, managed to stamp again on the feet of mostly conservatives. Because did you guys see a lot of leftists and Demorats getting kicked off Twitter and X? No, they just all went to Blue Sky, into an echo chamber. Then at Blue Sky, this is the cool part, then they get to threaten assassination of anybody that they don't like. Corporate CEOs, that's a story for another day. Trump, clear things expressed in the open on Blue Sky by leftists. Conservatives and Republicans, on the other hand, would find ourselves in the clink had we made any statements like those. Imagine that. The Global Engagement Center will terminate by operation of law by the end of the day on December 23rd, 2024. It's already closed. A State Department spokesman said in a statement, the Department of State has consulted with Congress regarding next steps. Now, did Elon Musk have the ability to wave a magical South African wand and go, bing, you're going to Doge hell? No, he's not in there yet. He's just making a statement, which, due to free speech, he gets to do. Imagine that. Well, then there's more. Biden pardoned murderers. Biden pardoned child killers. Biden pardoned rapists and murderers. This is not the show to go into that. This is the show to display a happy story indicating Trump saying, I will start pardoning January 6th rioters my first day in office. And to this, I say, any and every door that Demorats and leftists opened for the past 4 years and the past 4 years before that in Trump 45, you can expect Trump and Musk and Ramaswamy and myself and a horde of other actual conservatives, maybe not Republicans, because they're invertebrate, primordially spineless. But any door that you have opened beforehand, expect all of us, and hopefully hordes more, we're going to walk through the door that you opened. You shouldn't expect that not to happen. If you open that door, people are going to come walking through. Here's another happy story. This is a gentleman who, to my way of thinking, is representative of what happened on November 5th. Take it away, sir.
I made a video the other day asking people when was the moment that they came to the conclusion Donald Trump is racist. A lot of people said Essential Part 5. We'll talk about that in another video. For me personally, it was the very fine people on both sides thing.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
I remember seeing that clip and feeling like, wow, maybe he is racist. And I just happened to come across this video on YouTube. It basically said that the clip was edited.
I did an entire show on Charlottesville. Go back and look at it. I will not review that again. Just listen to this gentleman, please, and what he illustrates.
And that I should go back and watch the entire clip. So I watched the entire thing. It got to that point where he says very fine people on both sides. And I'm like, see, that's exactly, I knew he said that. There's no point in me even continuing to watch this. And then it goes on and it gets to the part where he's like.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists because they should be condemned totally.
So he said.
That's the part the American media maggots never played.
He wasn't talking about the neo-Nazis and white supremacists. Why would they show me part of the story and make me feel like this? Even in the presidential debate against Joe Biden, he brought up the very fine people thing.
He said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say, Nazis coming out of fields, carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas, were fine people?
Kamala Harris just brought it up on the recent debate.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
People are still saying it, even though it's been debunked.
It's a lie. It's a lie. For those of you who just tuned in, it's a lie. It's a lie. Most every Demorat and leftist have continued on that lie. It's a lie. For those of you just tuned in, it's a fucking lie.
Just added this shit in 2024 that was a lie. It supposedly said in 2017. He dropped out of a president.
It was so bald and naked, even Snopes a massive leftist organ, even they said, well, I don't know.
For race because white supremacists joined his same party.
I'm not going to be running. The party is, as you know, self-destructing. When you say the party is self-destructing, what do you see as the biggest problem with the Reform Party right now?
Well, you've got David Duke just joined, a bigot, a racist, a problem. I mean, this is not exactly the people you...
Remember the trope. Donald Trump never pushed away racists. He has always embraced racists. He has never disavowed racism. Lie, 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 bullshit, and lies.
The one in your party.
Then you find that clip of him with Jesse Jackson.
Beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to risk to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he's a serious person who's an effective builder of people. Last year, he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump.
Jesse Jackson, 1999, singing the praises of Donald John Trump, OMB. He wasn't in politics yet. That's when he turned evil and bad. Well, you know, the cool thing about this shit is the fact that it is immured in the internet and always should be. I'm no great shakes. I'm an ancient old fat fuck that's going to be encountering his factory-issued heart attack in the not-too-terribly distant future. I'm a technophobe. I'm a techno-Luddite. I can find this crap. And if I can, every one of the American media maggots could too. If they had inquisitive minds, if they were curious, and if they weren't agendized and biased, and if they weren't, well, fucksticks.
Well, it is an honor to be here.
You see the clip with him on The View and him and Whoopi Goldberg. She's saying that they're friends.
Because I don't think I'm going to get Whoopi's vote.
If you did, let me just ask, if you did be...
And she likes me. She even put me in a movie.
I was just going to say.
She put me in a movie,
yes,
right?
we
A
are
long time ago.
friends.
And how much did I charge? Nothing.
Like they say in the
It was a free bill.
If you did beat Obama, though.
People love this guy. Like Oprah saying that he should run for president.
Claim. A letter authentically shows Oprah Winfrey wrote to Trump in 2000 and said, "Too bad we're not running for office. What a team. Look at the check. Bing." True.
Do you have a vice presidential candidate in mind?
Well, I really haven't gotten quite there yet.
It's just
Oprah. I love Oprah. Oprah would always be my first choice. Oprah, your competitor, right?
No, Oprah's competitor.
You know what?
No
I'll tell you, she's really a great woman, though. She is a terrific woman. She's somebody that's very special.
Then and now. But wait, there's more.
Judge Joe Brown.
Now, let me point out that it doesn't make a shit's worth of difference to me, but Jennifer Hudson is black because race and sex are the only things that matter to Demorats and leftists. So if I make an issue of race or sex, it's only because those are the languages, the only two issues from which leftists speak.
I've talked to a number of black entrepreneurs who back in the late 80s and 90s, early 90s, were trying to get financing. They couldn't. Somebody told them to go check with Donald Trump. So they come back and tell me they got a loan from Donald Trump. He gave them a term loan, show up with the interest in the principal, one check, but they had to go see him personally. They independently relate this tale that when they saw him, he said, "This is what you're supposed to pay me? This our agreement?" So yeah, and then tore the check up, shook their hands, and congratulations. Now run your business. And this was when? This was back in the 90s.
Waka Flocka talks about how he showed him how to increase his wealth.
Judge Joe Brown. No, Trump's not a racist.
Run an LLC. You're going to make it even deeper. Go get a trust fund and run a corp that runs the LLC. You want to
Okay, here we go. $1 million. This is Waka Flocka. I don't make this stuff up. I just show it to you. Wacka Flocka on $1 million worth of game.
Get even deeper, own two trust funds for your business and your person to run that trust that runs all the business. It can get deep, my God. Absolutely. And Donald Trump actually showed me that method.
People will say that they want truth, but when you try to present them with information that goes against their beliefs of Donald Trump, they act like this.
He's condemned white supremacy over 20 times.
Oh, yes, when? Could you tell me when?
Yeah, absolutely. Would you like to see a video of a montage of 20 times that he's done it?
Oh, actually, no. I'm more interested in walking up and...
No, don't interfere with my views. My views are my own, and I'm not here to be dissuaded by you, white boy.
How are we going to learn if we don't challenge our ideas? I mean, you just made a statement that is actually inaccurate, and I can show you video evidence of why it is. I mean, would you like to see that?
No, thank you.
He's condemned white supremacy and the KKK over 20 times.
Over 20 times?
Yeah.
Do you have him right here? Can I listen to it?
Absolutely, you can. Let me pull it up for you right now.
All right. What's that?
By the way, I'm James. How's your day going, man?
It'd be a lot better if you guys were wearing masks.
We can socially distance.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Wait. You don't want to see the examples? I have 20 examples right here.
No, do you have it? Do you have the examples? I want to see the evidence. I have to see the evidence. No, I'm not. I don't give a crap about the evidence. Walk away.
He is a white supremacist.
It's just like Yuri said.
Exposure to true information does not matter anymore.
Exposure to true information from Russian spy, Moose and Squirrel, says we know about disinformation. That's how old this is. Older.
A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, when a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization.
The populace versus the establishment. Whatever they do to the populist candidate, they're doing to you. When you assist the establishment in crushing the populist candidate, they're going to turn around and do it to you next. Whatever rules that they broke to get at him, that you cheered on because you were so anti-him, those rules were broken so that they can get your consent. And now that they've used your hatred to build consent to break the rules, now they can turn that same attack towards you.
Remember what Trump said? True then, true now. Yeah, they're after me. But actually, they're after you.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Join me right here on the SHR Media Network every Monday and Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast. On this show, we'll discuss news, politics, the government, how cranky we are about the government, and more. If you want to hear hard talk, good interviews, sarcasm, bad jokes, and oh God, that really is me in a nutshell. Either way, check me out right here on the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 on the East, on the SHR Media Network.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Turn on the button, buddy. I'm back. I'm nationwide. I'm wide. I'm wider than a double wide. Anyway, thanks for being here tonight. It is, let's see, 9:04 p.m. Pacific. It is also 11:04 Central and 12:04 after midnight on the East Coast. And again, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for watching on Rumble, on X, at shrmedia.com, the SHR Media YouTube channel, and on KLRN. KLRN, unfortunately, right now is not broadcasting this live, but if you are at KLRN Radio on X devotee, you can watch it tomorrow. So saith Rick Robinson, so saith us all. So, by the way, our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room is awaiting your incredibly glorious presence. And by the way, while you're on Rumble, just click on live chat to enter the SHR Media chat room is also open. And subscribe and share and do that all kinds of other stuff because, like I said, let's see, I forget this. Either gets me a porcelain Dalmatian or more vodka. I'm not sure. Your mileage may vary. Batteries not included. Member FDIC. No leak to basement. So we're going to continue. I want to show you this. I found this the other day. Apparently, it's been there for quite some time. This is the Liberty Score from Liberty Score. You might want to write this down because it's really hard to see that little teeny thing up there. I wish I could make this really big. I could embiggen it, but I cannot the way these things are assembled together. Go to libertyscore.conservativereview.com. Well, BC, why would I want to go here? Well, then you can look at your Congress critter and find out if they're actually interested in a scintilla of freedom. Let's scroll down. Here are some examples. Here's Representative Abigail Spanberger, Liberty Score F, Party Demorat. Representative Adam Smith, Liberty Score F, Demorat. Well, hey, let's go and look at a state. Here we go. I've chosen California, always spelled it with a K, because I can't help but make fun of California because it's so fucked up. And I left there. It cost me a lot of money to do it. Again, that's a story for another day. It certainly is. Representative Adam Schiff, Party Demorat, Liberty Score F. Alan Lowenthal, Representative Demorat F. Ami Bera, Demorat F. Representative Anna Eshoo, Demorat F. Barbara Lee, Demorat F. Brad Sherman, Demorat F. Darrell Issa, GOP F. David Valadao, GOP F. Devin Nunes F. And of course, Feinstein, when she was living. I don't know if you've been noticed. The numbers are probably too small for you to see. At the very bottom, right down here, Feinstein is gone. She's dead. I could make a mention about that. I'm not going to. This gives, a rating, a letter rating. She's a Demorat. She got an F. But they also give a percentile of liberty. For example, on Nunes, 54%. So slightly over half embracing liberty and freedom. Dianne Feinstein, F, yeah. Devin Nunes, 54%. Dianne Feinstein, 2%. So I remind you, if you want to find out about your Congress critter, there's Alaska, There's Hawaii, every other state here. You can click on and find out whether your Congress critters and senatorias actually give a crap about freedom. Highly recommended. Absolutely highly recommended. Oh, geez. Hey, BZ, let's continue, shall we? Sure.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
We're going to have to kind of rip through these. This is from Breitbart. CNN confirms it was duped by a Syrian intelligence officer in fake prisoner freedom video. Now, if you look through this video and saw the dude that was freed, you notice how untattered he is, how clean he is, how clean his fingernails are. And it was all an act that CNN fell for. Imagine that. U.S. ICE, Massachusetts judge, court officer charged for obstructing an ICE arrest. A judge was charged. Shoot, that's a happy story. This is a happy story with a not really sure. This comes with caution and perhaps even as far as danger, Will Robinson, danger. It's a happy story, essentially on its face. Mike Johnson says he's aiming to axe 75% of all federal agencies with the help of Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, Mike Johnson has recently gone through his own little hellhole of contretemps that people who think that, well, this guy needs to be replaced. Okay, caution. Be careful what you open as a door, because who's waiting if you open that door? Let's say, for example, that you want to get rid of Mike Johnson because you think he's a Mark I Model 1 turd. He's a rhino. Okay, you can say that. You can think that. Who's waiting in the wings? Who's lining up? Who's saying on the Republican side, it's me, I'm a great guy or gal, and I'm waiting, I'm chomping it, I'm frothing. Look at my beard, it's full of froth. Who's chomping at the bit to follow Mike Johnson? I can't say I've really heard of anybody, but you know who is chomping at the bit to become speaker? Hakeem Jeffries. Oh, he's a big Demorat. Big one. He would love to be speaker. He'd love it. Not just regular love it, but love. He'd love to be speaker. You open that door. Careful. Careful. You might not like who walks through, particularly if no one walks through behind him except Jeffries. Just keep careful. That's all I'm saying. Hashtag all I'm saying. Now, this guy is evil. This guy is the personification of evil. This is from rollcall.com under the aegis of policy. The man with a plan to upend government and what it entails. OMB, not Orange Man Bad, but OMB as the Office of Management and Budget. This guy is evil. He has pledged to dismantle woke and weaponized government. You can't do that. That's our government. And let's go to one more happy story. Maybe another one. This is kind of old, but I still find it amusing and interesting. Liberal women are undergoing sterilization and blaming Trump. Election tied my hands. Let me be very honest with this. I think we need more leftist women sterilized. Who wants a future of leftist women? More leftist women need to get abortions. More leftist women need to close their legs. More leftist women need to look ugly as hell. More leftist women need not to swive anybody anymore because we don't need them to procreate. We need them to eliminate themselves. And that's why that's a happy story. Speaking of leftists, by the way, I have a capper to this story. which is a happy story. Humans may be fueling global warming by breathing, says a new study. Well, apparently the gist of this is, well, we need fewer people, and we need those fewer people to stop breathing. And to that, I say, you first, leftists and Demorats, dudes and dudettes, you first. That's why that's a happy story. And then here's another one. This is a prominent doctor accused of pushing preteen into puberty blockers and a mastectomy, sued for medical malpractice. I predict, it doesn't take anybody with a huge Karnak turban around their head. I predict that you're going to see a run of this stuff in the coming years. Almost kind of a tsunami, if you will. Here's another story. This is a happy story. Okay, because what is the definition of insanity? Kamala Harris is reportedly eyeing another White House run. MSNBC says that would be a mistake. Harris could do good in other places than the White House. And to which I say, oh no. Oh no. 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 If you would, please, please, please run Kamala Harris, Cammy Cackler. Please run her again. Oh my God. Please run her again. And here's the story I was telling you about. This is the one that I'm going to read the bulk of. It may take quite a few minutes to do this. And then I'm going to end the show. I've got some more stuff. Of course, I've got an ass ton of tabs up there that I could talk about. Always important safety tip for podcasters, especially if you do your stuff live. Always have show prep. Always have more stuff than you could possibly use in a show, because crap happens. Important safety tip from me to you. In any event, this is illustrative on so many levels. Because when you have, say, the Wall Street Journal weighing in on stuff like this, then that says a lot. And people are finally, somebody somewhere is going to write 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years. It might take a while. Somebody's going to write the ultimate book about what truly happened in the Biden administration. And you and I knew that Biden is, in fact, deserving of my moniker, Joe Vegetable. And I used to say that, I said essentially at the beginning, and I emphasize it now. I think his wife, Joe Biden, is the biggest elder abuse suspect in the history of our nation. And I also think that what I'm about to go into now is the biggest political scandal in American politics ever. Over Watergate, even over the Trump, Russia, blah, blah, blah. This was the biggest gaslighting which was bought and paid for by the American media maggots for literally years. And you might ask, how do the people like KJP and Jen Psaki, how do they sleep at night? And the answer is, they don't give a shit about morals or the law. Thug's law. What is Thug's law? What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine unless you're strong enough to stop me. I speak leftist, so I'll translate. What that means is we can do any damn thing we want that's against the law. No one cares. No one is going to do anything, and we're going to get away with it unless somebody somewhere gives us pushback, takes us to court, or physically stops us from doing any of this. And that's how they operate under Thug's law. Don't believe your lying eyes, little boy and little girl. How stupid you are that you bought off for that. And then the Wall Street Journal comes out with this. How the White House functioned with a diminished Biden in charge. Now stop. You're going to find that, yes, even though this is the Wall Street Journal, there are still going to be weasel words in here. You'll recognize them immediately. I have no doubt, because you're a smart individual. That's why you're watching and listening to this show right now. By the way, I need to credit these authors: Annie Linsky, Rebecca Ballhaus, Emily Glazer, and Shaban Hughes. This is an article from the Wall Street Journal just a few days ago, December 19th this year. During the 2020 presidential primary, Jill Biden campaigned so extensively across Iowa that she held events in more counties than her husband. A fact her press secretary at the time, Michael LaRosa, touted to a local newspaper. His superior in the Biden campaign quickly chided him as the three rode in a minivan through the state's cornfields. Anthony Bernal, then a deputy campaign manager and chief of staff to Jill Biden, pressed LaRosa to contact a reporter again and play down any comparison in campaign appearances between Joe Biden, then 77, and his wife, who is 8 years his junior. Her energetic schedule only highlighted her husband's more plodding pace. LaRosa recalls being told the message from Biden's team was clear. The more you talk her up, the more you make him look bad, meaning Joe Vegetable. The small correction foreshadowed how Biden's closest aides and advisors would manage the limitations of the oldest president in U.S. history during his 4 years in office. To adapt the White House around the needs of a diminished leader, this is the Wall Street Journal saying what we've known, the silent part out loud. He was for years a diminished leader. Stop. You guys do know how you got Joe Biden. I've said this any number of times on the show. Demorats got Joe Biden because Bernie Sanders was winning. Bernie Sanders was winning bigly. But Bernie Sanders wanted to essentially set the Democrat Party on fire. He wanted to set their money on fire. He didn't want to have anything to do with PACs. He said there should be monetary limitations to the money that is donated to campaigns. It should be infinitely smaller. There should be much less access, much less money involved in a presidential campaign. And so left-thinking Democrats said, oh, this bastard cannot get anywhere near the Oval Office. We got to pull some crap right now. Who do we have as a crap puller? I know, Joe Biden. Well, he's like Mikey. He hates everything. No, what that meant was he'll do anything we say. And he did. He's a great, he's a good political Kotex, because you can use him and toss him away. And that's actually what happened. Bernie Sanders was winning. #winning. And the Democrats realized, the spice must flow. He was going to kill the spice. Oh my God. So they yanked his ass out of there and threw Mr. Empty Suit in. And as we later found, Mr. Empty Brain. To adapt the White House around the needs of they said this out loud, a diminished leader. They told visitors to keep meetings focused. Interactions with senior Democrat lawmakers and some cabinet members, including powerful secretaries like Defense's Lloyd Austin, traitor, and Treasury's Janet Yellen, idiot, were infrequent or grew less frequent. Some legislative leaders had a hard time getting the president's ear at key moments, including ahead of the U.S.'s disastrous pullout from Afghanistan. I've talked about that any number of times. If there were ever a way to fuck up the pullout of Afghanistan, it's exactly what they did. Is the sole 180 of what they should have done. Senior advisors were often put into roles that some administration officials and lawmakers thought Biden should occupy, with people like the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, Senior Counselor, Steve Richetti, National Economic Council head, Lael Brainard, and her predecessor frequently in the position of being go-betweens for the president. Press aides who compiled packages of news clips for Biden were told by senior staff to exclude negative stories about the president. He doesn't want to see that. The president wasn't talking to his own pollsters, as surveys showed him trailing in the 2024 race. Now, presidents have always had gatekeepers, but in Biden's case, the walls around him were higher and the controls were greater, according to Demorat lawmakers, donors, and aides who worked for Biden and other administrations or other administrators. There were limits over who Biden spoke with, limits on what they said to him, and limits around the sources of information he consumed. Massive gatekeeping, which is what the American media maggots want to be for everyone, and the Demorats, gatekeepers of the truth. The truth. Because anything they don't like, by the way, you already know this, is disinformation. Throughout his presidency, a small group of aides stuck close to Biden to assist, especially when traveling or speaking to the public. They body him to such a high degree, a person who witnessed it said, adding that the hand-holding is unlike anything other recent presidents have had. Now, when they say that they body him, that means that they surround him and won't let him go over here, over there, speak to this person, speak to that group. That's what it means to body someone. The White House operated this way even as the president and his aides pressed forward with his re-election bid, which unraveled spectacularly after his halting performance in a June debate with Donald Trump. They're actually saying that quiet part out loud. It made his mental acuity an insurmountable issue. And then sphincters were tight at first, and then there was PSH over that. Pants shitting hysteria. Vice President Kamala Harris replaced him on the Demorat ticket and was decisively defeated by Trump in a shortened campaign, leaving Demorats to debate whether their chances were undercut by Biden's refusal to yield earlier. This account of how the White House functioned with an aging leader at the top of its organizational chart is based on interviews with nearly 50 people, including those who participated in or who had direct knowledge of the operations. Many of those who criticized Biden's insularity said his system nonetheless kept his agenda on track. Well, he didn't keep it on track. They did. White House spokesman Andrew Bates said Biden, quote, earned the most accomplished record of any modern commander-in-chief and rebuilt the middle class because of his attention to policy details that impact millions of lives. Bullshit. And people consumed it with relish. Give me more. Bates, who rejected the notion that Biden had declined, added that the president has often solicited opinions from outside experts, which has informed his policymaking. He said it's the job of senior White House staff to have high-level meetings regularly, and that they were executing Biden's agenda at his direction. He also said the staff alerted the president to significant negative news stories. Bernal, via the White House press office, declined to comment. Well, the president had good days and bad days. The president's slide has been hard to overlook. Captain Obvious inserting himself in just for a moment. While preparing last year for his interview with Robert Hur, the special counsel who investigated Biden's, and they hated Robert Hur, who investigated Biden's handling of classified documents, the president couldn't recall lines that his team discussed with him at events. Aides often repeated instructions to him, such as where to enter or exit a stage. Go here. Go here. Go here. Where? Go here. That would be obvious and was obvious to every person who watched. And yet, and still, you were gaslighted. And of course, Biden's team tapped campaign co-chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg, a Hollywood mogul, to find a voice coach to improve the president's fading warble. Biden, now 82, has long operated with a tight-knit inner circle of advisors. The protective culture inside the White House was intensified because Biden started his presidency at the height of the COVID pandemic. He's had Wuhan 19 a number of times. His staff took great care to prevent him from catching the virus by limiting in-person interactions with him, but the shell constructed for the pandemic was never fully taken down because they benefited from it. And his advanced age hardened it. Stop just for a minute. I'm going to point out something obvious to you. We're going to take a break, final break, and then come back. Did you ever notice during his presidency when he would come downstairs, be it 1 or 2 steps or something like that, or where he was pointed in a particular direction, ever notice that he kind of gave this fake jauntiness? I've got to hustle over there to show everybody how energetic I am. He was told to do that. He's not that energetic. And it was fake. It was false. And you all knew it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome to Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch Reaver of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. I'm BZ. Thanks for being here tonight. There are a ton of people in the chat room. You can be there too. We have, of course, our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room, which you can jump into. There are a metric ton, at least 1, perhaps 2 metric tons of really good people that happen to be in the chat room, and you can too. And thanks for being here tonight. I'm talking about, let me go here and show you the article that I was originally referencing that people don't have much of an idea about. This is the American media maggots And sometimes I do have to qualify and quantify the Wall Street Journal as part of the American media maggots. This is a revelation that they began to actually, they have said, this guy comports with BZ's Joe Vegetable because he's Joe Vegetable. And I had the actual temerity to say it. So the structure was designed to prevent Biden, an undisciplined public speaker throughout his half-century political career, from making gaffes. Joe Biden was a gaffe machine, as anybody know, even during Biden. Obama's famous quote was something similar to, you can always count on Joe Biden to fuck up most anything that he talks to, or words similar to that, Senator. So he was a gaffe machine. They tried to prevent him from making gaffes or missteps that could damage his image, create political headaches, or upset the world order. The system put Biden at an unusual remove from cabinet secretaries, the chairs of congressional committees, and other high-ranking individuals. It also insulated him from the scrutiny of the American public. Imagine that. Again, these are things that over the years you logically intuited because you were a logical thinking individual and you didn't buy the bullshit of, he's fine, there's nothing here, move right along. This is not the vegetable you're looking for. The strategies to protect Biden largely worked until June 27th this year, when Biden stood on an Atlanta debate stage with Trump, searching for words and unable to complete his thoughts on live television. Stop, just for a second. Stop right there. I'm going to say something that I've said before, and I'm losing it too. I'm 74 years old. I'm noticing that I'm losing words. I'm having various issues, but I'm not in the presidency. And I'm not seeking office, much less the highest office in the land. And when I get too fucked up, I'm not going to be here. Somebody else will take my place, probably infinitely younger and a hell of a lot better, like Jeremy Hansen or Sean Lewis or any number of individuals. Earl Jackson, the Reaver of Common Sense, Jersey Joe, who are going to take my place, as they should. When my marbles are rattling around in the proverbial Folgers tin can, it's time to move on, dude. And it was past time for Biden to move on, as we all knew. But Jill Biden got a taste during the vice presidency. She got a taste of superiority, and she dug that shit. So it was her, along with the Demorat Party, the DNC, who decided, oh, now what do we do? And they grabbed him, and Joe Biden says, oh, riding around in a big, cool car like that all the time? Because the presidency is largely different from the VP. The VP lives over there in that crappy little house over there. The president lives in the White House and has an infinitely bigger staff, and the carpets are thicker, and people actually listen to you. Well, if they listen at all. So Biden, staffed with advisors since he became a senator at age 30, came to the White House with a small team of fiercely loyal, long-serving aides who knew him in Washington so well that they could be particularly effective proxies. They didn't tolerate criticism of his performance or broader dissent within the Demorat Party, especially when it came to the president's decision to run for a second term. Yet, a sign that the bruising presidential schedule needed to be adjusted for Biden's advanced age had arisen early on in just the few first months of his term. Administration officials noticed the president became tired if meetings went long and would make mistakes. They issued a directive to some powerful lawmakers and allies seeking one-on-one time. The exchanges are going to be short. They're going to be focused, according to people who received the message directly from the White House aides. Ideally, the meeting... This is called a clue. Ideally, the meetings would start later in the day since Biden had never been at his best first thing in the morning. Imagine that. I guess he just didn't have his coffee. Some of the people said his staff made these adjustments to limit potential missteps by Biden. The people said the president, known for long and rambling sessions, at times pushed in the opposite direction, wanting or just taking more time. The White House denied that his schedule had been altered due to its age. His age. If the president was having a day off, an off day, meetings could be scrapped entirely. On one such occasion in the spring of 2021, a national security official explained to another aide why a meeting needed to be rescheduled. Quote, he has good days and bad days, and today was a bad day, so we're going to address this tomorrow. The former aide recalled the official saying, well, so missiles are raining down upon Maine or New Hampshire. Let the guy get his sleep, for Christ's sake. Come on. While it isn't uncommon for politicians to want more time with the president than they get, some Democrats felt Biden was unusually hard to reach. That's what Representative Adam Smith of Washington found when he tried to share his concerns with the president ahead of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021. Smith, a Democrat who then chaired the powerful House Armed Committee Services Committee, boy, that was a duality that I created, was alarmed by what he viewed as overly optimistic comments from Biden as the administration assembled plans for the operation. Smith said, I was begging them to set expectations low. And Smith, who had worked extensively on the issue and harbored concerns about how the withdrawal might go, sought to talk to Biden directly to share his insights about the region, but he couldn't get on the phone with him, Smith said. So after the disastrous withdrawal, 180, this is me saying it was exactly 180 degrees of what you should be doing, which left 13 U.S. service members and more than 170 Afghans dead, Smith made a critical comment, to the Washington Post about the administration lacking a clear-eyed view of the U.S.-backed Ashraf Ghani government durability. It was among comments that triggered an angry phone call from the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, who ended up getting an earful from the frustrated chairman. Shortly after, Smith got an apologetic call from Biden. It was the only phone call Biden made to Smith in his 4 years in office, Smith said. Smith also said the Biden White House was more insulated than most. I spoke with Barack Obama on a number of occasions when he was president, and I wasn't even chairman of the committee. Representative Jim Himes of Connecticut, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, said his interactions with the White House in the past 2 years were primarily focused on the reauthorization of a vital section of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, that authorizes broad national security surveillance powers. Biden's senior advisors and other top administrator officials worked with Himes on the issue, and he praised the collaboration. But Biden wasn't part of the conversation. I really had no personal contact with this president. I had more personal contact with Obama, which is sort of strange because I was a lot more junior, said Himes, who took office in 2009. Congress extended the surveillance authority of FISA for 2 years instead of the administration's goal of 5 years. Bates said in every administration, some in Washington would prefer to spend more time with the president and that Biden put significant effort into promoting his legislative agenda. One lawmaker who did get one-on-one time with Biden noticed the president lacked stamina. Maybe he lacked stamina too. Did that affect Kamala, her stamina? He heavily relied on his staff. Senator Joe Manchin, the West Virginia Democrat turned independent, who held up chunks of Biden's legislative agenda during the first half of Biden's term. Manchin said the job required a level of energy that he wasn't sure Biden had been able to sustain. I just thought that maybe the president lost that fight, Manchin said in an interview. The ability to continue to stay on, just grind it. Of course he couldn't do that. We've seen that. We knew what was going on, you and me. Instead of Biden directly following up, Manchin noticed that Biden's staff played a much bigger role, driving his agenda than he had experienced in any other administration. Manchin referred to them as the Eager Beavers, a group that included then White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, who had been making all of the decisions. This is me opining. Ron Klain, made a ton of them independently, perhaps with a few others. Who ran the Biden White House? Mostly not Joe Biden. They were going, I'll take care of that, Manchin said. Klain, who was chief of staff for Biden's first 2 years in office, said the agenda and pace of the White House was at the president's direction and leadership. So interactions between Biden and many of his cabinet members were relatively infrequent and often tightly scripted. Do you not remember, folks, seeing photographs of Biden at the lectern, having notes, who to call on, who they were, where they would be sitting, with a little photograph of them, just in case he forgot? Susie Smith. Oh, look, there's Susie Smith right there. I bet she's right there. Call on Susie Smith. I'll read that. Susie Smith, I call on you. At least one cabinet member stopped requesting calls with the president because it was clear such requests wouldn't be welcome, a former senior cabinet aide said. One top cabinet member met one-on-one with the president at most twice in the first year and rarely in small groups. Multiple former senior cabinet aides described a top-down dynamic in which the White House would issue decisions and expect cabinet agencies to just carry them out, rather than making cabinet secretaries active participants in the policy-making process. Deep state, anybody? Some of them said it was hard for them to discern to what degree Biden was insulated because of his age versus his preference for a powerful inner circle. Bates said Biden has daily conversations with members of his cabinet. Several cabinet secretaries contacted the Wall Street Journal at the White House request to attest to the smooth operations between their agencies and the White House. They said Biden would call them individually on the phone when seeking information or to give direction. I spoke with him whenever he needed his guidance or help, said Dennis McDonough, Biden's Secretary of Veteran Affairs and former chief of staff to Obama. A lot of times was him reaching out to us. Do you believe that? Bridge? Most often, however, they dealt with the president's advisors, not the president himself. If I had an issue or I needed attention on something, I had multiple avenues to explore to raise the issue, said Agricultural Secretary Tom Vilsack. You don't always have to raise the issue with the president. Vilsack, who also served as the Ag Secretary under Obama, said the presidents should primarily get involved when there's a dispute between agencies. Seems logical. Obama would often meet with smaller groups of cabinet members to hash out a policy debate, former administration officials said, but that wasn't often the case under Biden's administration. Instead, cabinet members most often met alone or with a member of the president's senior staff, including Brainerd, the economic advisor, or national security advisor, Sullivan. The senior advisor would then bring the issue to the president, report back, former admin officials said. Former admin officials said it often didn't seem like Biden had his finger on the pulse. Okay, I'm sure you're seeing by now that they're being awfully nice in this. Nice. Traditionally, presidents have more frequent interactions with certain cabinet secretaries, most likely Treasury, Defense, and State than others. But Treasury Secretary Yellen had an arm's length relationship with the president for much of the administration. She was part of the economics team that regularly briefed the president, but one-on-one discussions were more rare, and she typically dealt with the NEC or the president's advisors rather than Biden directly, according to people familiar with the interactions. Some current and former administration officials said they would have expected a closer relationship between the two, and Bates, the White House spokesman, said Biden deeply values Secretary Yellen's expertise and counsel. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, during the first half of the administration, was one of the cabinet members who would regularly attend Biden's presidential daily briefing. That's called the PDB, folks. The presidential daily briefing is a compendium basically presented by intelligence officials to the president to let him or her know the state of the United States overnight And so you got the PDB, which is a collection of the take from intelligence. I use those words very loosely. Intelligence. And the PDB, Presidential Daily Brief, was given every day, or should have been every day, so the president would be more well informed and equipped to deal with issues. That's me saying this, not the authors of this, just to let you know what the PDB is. Anyway, officials familiar with those meetings said that they helped cabinet members to understand the commander-in-chief's intentions directly instead of being filtered through others like Sullivan. But in the past 2 years, a period when the wars in Ukraine and Gaza demanded the president's attention, Austin's invitation to the briefing came less frequently. Because who would want your SecDef in a meeting about Ukraine or Gaza? Fie on that. Austin's invitation came less frequently, to the point where the one-on-one meeting was seldom scheduled. When the one-on-one meeting did take place, they were more typically virtual meetings, not in person. Still, Austin could always get an unscheduled meeting with the president if he needed it. Biden had a close relationship with Secretary of State Blinken, who he'd known for decades, administration people said. Over the 4 years, this is atypical. Biden held 9 full cabinet meetings, 3 in 21, 2 in 22, 3 in 23, and 1 this year. This year is almost over. 2024, 1. Uno. Biden, however, Obama, I should say, held 19 and Trump held 25, according to data compiled by former CBS News correspondent Mark Knoller. The White House said Biden meets with smaller groups of his agency heads and that the contemporary work environment means full cabinet meetings can be fewer and farther between. A White House official pushed back on the notion that Biden's age showed in prep, saying that the concerns that arose during those sessions were related to Biden's tendency to overshare. Biden wanted to No, what that meant was, like we've watched for years, he'd have something to say, lose his bearing, go way over here on something that made no sense to any but my hairy legs. Biden overshared. The actual interview didn't go well. Transcript showed multiple blunders, including that Biden didn't initially recall in prep sessions. He'd been shown his own handwriting memo arguing against a surge of troops in Afghanistan. The report, just one of a few lengthy interviews that Biden had over the past 4 years, concluded with a recommendation that Biden not be, this is Robert Hur, that Biden not be prosecuted for having classified documents in his home because a jury was likely to view him as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory, who we certainly want to leave installed in the Oval Office with his finger poised over the nuclear button, because that makes a lot of sense. He was also insulated on the campaign. Biden's team insulated him on the campaign trail in the summer of 23. One prominent Demorat donor put together a small event for Biden's reelection bid. The donor was shocked when a campaign official told him attendees shouldn't expect to have a free-ranging question and answer session with the president. Again, instead, the organizer was told to send in 2 or 3 questions ahead of time that Biden would answer. In some events, the Biden campaign printed the pre-approved questions on note cards and then gave donors the cards to read the questions. Even with all those steps, Biden made flubs, which confounded the donors who knew that Biden had the questions ahead of time. Some donors said they noticed how staff stepped in to mask other signs of decline. Throughout his presidency, and especially later in the term, Biden was assisted by a small group of aides who were laser focused on him in a far different way than when he was vice president, or how former presidents Bill Clinton or Obama were staffed during their presidencies. People who have witnessed their interactions said These aides, which included Annie Tomasini and Ashley Williams, were often with the president as he traveled and stayed within earshot or eye distance, the people said. They would often repeat basic instructions to him, such as where to enter or exit a stage, because that's what a smart with it guy does. The White House said that the work by staff to guide Biden through events is standard for high-level officials. People who witnessed it felt very differently about it. In the past, aides performing these duties were often on their phones, chatting with other people or fetching something from a car or a computer nearby, they said. The president's team of pollsters also had limited access to Biden, according to people familiar with the president's polling. The key advisors have famously had the president's ear in most past White Houses. During the 2020 campaign, Biden had calls with John Anzalone, his pollster, during which the two had detailed conversations. By the 2024 campaign, the pollsters weren't talking to the president about their findings and instead sent memos that went to top campaign staff. Biden's pollsters didn't meet with him in person and saw little evidence that the president was getting personally the data they were sending him, according to the people. People closest to the president said he relied on Mike Donilon, one of Biden's core inner circle advisors. With a background in polling, Donilon could sift through the information and present it to the president. Gatekeeping. Why? Joe Vegetable. Bates said that Biden stayed abreast of the polling data. Of course he did. But this summer, Demorat insiders became alarmed by the way Biden described his own polling, publicly characterizing the race as a toss-up when polls released in the weeks after the disastrous June debate consistently showed Trump ahead. They worried he wasn't getting an unvarnished look at his standing in the race. Insulation and gatekeeping. Those fears intensified on July 11th, when Biden's top advisors met behind closed doors with Democrat senators, where the advisors laid out a roadmap for Biden's victory. The message from the advisors was so disconnected from public polling, which showed Trump leading Biden nationally, that it left Democrat senators incredulous. It spurred Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to speak to Biden directly, according to people familiar with the matter, hoping to pierce what the senators saw as a wall erected by Donilon to shield Biden from bad information. As in, dude, not looking too good for you right now. Donilon didn't respond to requests for an interview. On July 13th, Biden held an uncomfortable call with a group of Demorat lawmakers called the New Demorat Coalition, aimed at reassuring them about his ability to stay in the race. The president told participants polling showed he was doing fine, but he became angry when challenged, according to lawmakers on the call. At one point, Biden looked up and abruptly told the group he had to go to church. Some lawmakers on the call believed someone behind the camera was shutting it down. Biden dropped out of the race 8 days later. Let me show you what some of the other stories are indicating. This is from MSN.com. White House aides finally reveal who really ran the country as Biden slid into mental incompetence. Well, that's a headline that we should have seen 4 years ago. Biden was losing, this is from Washington Times. Biden was losing mental abilities even before the 2020 election, report says. And here's what I want to end with, because I told you I was going to get to this, and I'm going to have to wrap up the show pretty soon. I hope you've enjoyed it. I thank you ever so kindly for being here. And I mean that sincerely. That is really what I think. By the way, which one is pink? You guys know what that's a reference to. Come on. Here's a story from The Hill. Here's how this shit is going to go in a couple of days at the beginning of the year, January 2025. This is from The Hill, which leans, come on, they're moderate, right? No, they're hard left. This is by Evan Davis, David Schulte. Congress has the power to block Trump from taking office, but lawmakers must act now. So I can guarantee you, if they're talking about this out loud, this is what they're attempting to do at this very moment. Well, maybe there's CP time right now because it's about 12:42. Oh, no. It's 12:59 right now on the East Coast. The Constitution provides that an oath-breaking insurrectionist, okay, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to anyway. You guys know where I'm going with this. Was Donald Trump ever officially accused of insurrection criminally? They had a J6 committee. And that shit is going to be coming around. It will be circular in the not too terribly distant future. But Trump was convicted. He was tried and convicted of insurrection, wasn't he? No. So he's an oath-breaking insurrectionist, says all the leftists, but show me the trial. Show me the criminal accusation. Show me the USC violated on that. The US section violated on that, of which he was prosecuted, of course. And then he was convicted. And then he was sentenced, and of which he did time, too. The Constitution provides an oath-breaking insurrectionist, weasel words, is ineligible to be president. This is the plain wording of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, blah, blah. This disability can be removed by a 2/3 vote in each house. Congress, Reps, Senate. Disqualification is based on insurrection against the Constitution and not the government. The evidence of Donald Trump's engaging in such insurrection is overwhelming. The matter has been decided in 3 separate forums, 2 of which were fully contested with the active participation of Trump's counsel. So, got to wrap up the show. I'm just letting you know, this is what's coming next. I seldom have any confidence in the ability of anybody to prognosticate accurately what's going to be happening in the near future with regard to politics. I am usually want to say, I can't even see what's going to be happening next week, much less, down the road, a month. January 6th, January 20th. Will there be riots? I'm not sure. BLM, for example, I believe has been defanged. Umbrage over Daniel Penny. I kind of thought there were going to be some riots. We didn't really get any. So will there be insurrection? Riots? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But I do have a fair amount of confidence that what this article outlined is how the Demorats are going to attempt to play this game in the not too terribly distant future. And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct on the SHR Media Network, right here on Rumble, on the SHR Media Group, X, Twitch, at KLRN, etc., etc. Promotional consideration is, of course, as per normal, by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Group, Skunk Works. Also by Shure and Electro Voice microphones, by Arrakis boards and mixers. This is what I use. And also Pratt & Whitney engines providing thrust you can trust. I used to put something in there about Boeing, but these days, not so much. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be concerting in less than 10 minutes, about 40 or 50 feet that way through that door, right over there. Don't you think I'm not doing that? Thanks to everybody for being in chat. Thanks to everybody for listening live. I'm going to post the podcast later. God bless everybody. Thank you ever so kindly. I greatly appreciate everyone being here. Everyone. All you. All y'all. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.
I bet you thought that was the end of the show. I forgot one thing. 2 things. Okay. 3 things. See, I'm lying to you now. Number 1 is tomorrow at noon Pacific, listen to Sackhead Sean. His show, Edge of Liberty, goes for an hour, and it can be seen and heard on all the places that I occupy. X, Twitch, the SHR Media YouTube channel. So tune in at noon to the Edge of Liberty, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And then later, that's Friday. Tomorrow is Friday. Yes, of course it is. Yes, BC. Everyone says, of course, yes. And also then at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern, tune in to Jersey Joe, the Reaver of Common Sense, who, if there was anyone around to reave common sense, it would be Jersey Joe. And then one programming note. Next Tuesday, which is New Year's Eve, everybody on SHR is going to be right here, this same bat time, same bat channel, 8 p.m. Pacific, next Tuesday, which is New Year's Eve, bangity boom, boomity bang, and all the dogs in here they will not be happy little campers. But myself and Sackhead Sean and Jersey Joe and Earl Jackson, Big E, we're all going to be here. We're going to be talking about the end of the year. What happened during 2024? What were the articles and incidents of note in 2024? And then we're going to put on our little thinking caps, because that's all we have at SHR, our little thinking caps. We can't pay for big thinking caps, for Christ's sake. I've made that complaint many times. And then we're going to see if we can figure out what's coming for 2025. Can anybody figure that out? I'm not sure. So next Tuesday, be here. Everybody representing SHR will be here, all 4 of us. It'll be glamorous. It'll be glorious. There'll be sequined gowns being worn. There'll be bobcats. There'll be running water, perhaps even alcohol. I'm not sure of that yet. So please, again, thanks for being here. Thanks for being loyal listeners. God bless you all. Take care.